Wish I would have known. Hi, and thank you for joining the Wish I Would Have Known podcast, or as we like to call it, WIWHK. I'm your host, Troy Garrett. I'm inspired by the variety of surprise twists and turns that people have taken in their careers and will continue inviting them to share their stories with you. Our guests represent diverse lines of business. You'll meet social workers, symphony musicians, racehorse owners, radio personalities, human resources leaders, commercial real estate lenders, filmmakers, and school principals, just to name a few. Join us and hear what has worked for them and what might just spark a fire in you. This podcast, as always, is going to be a conversation between friends and peers, nothing too crazy or fancy. We'll be sharing life's experiences in the interest of helping you grow and succeed in your current or even a new career field. And we're spending the afternoon with fitness coach Kiersten Schwinn. She has a little something to share with us as we get ready for our session together. Kiersten, you have the floor.
Thank you, Troy. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kiersten. We will do a deep dive into how I started, why I stay, and the direction that I'm going. Like I always say, my pace is forward. So buckle up and let's enjoy the ride.
You know, everybody, that is just a tiny taste of what it's like to be in a class with Coach Kiersten. I've had the distinct honor to do that several times. My wonderful wife is a steady attendee at her classes. I just knew that everybody would enjoy getting to know her. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit and get to know Kiersten. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Troy. The nutshell version, I have been in the fitness industry for the past 24 years, 10 of those years, specifically at Orangetheory Fitness. I've spent my life dedicated to helping others achieve their fitness goals, and my mindset to coaching has always been deeper than just fitness, but more overall well-being, both the mental and physical components. I really am passionate about inspiring people to find it within themselves to push beyond their limits or what they think are their limits, because in actuality, we really have none. I try to create healthy life for myself and lead by example, or help others establish healthy habits that are sustainable, not just fleeting. I'm the proud mother of 2 sons, Mason and Garrett. Mason's an ultra runner, and Garrett, he more enjoys lifting weights, but they try to be healthy. The joy of my life, I'm a Mimi to Eli. And so whatever he's doing, I'm interested in, and that brings me endless joy and motivation to be a better version of myself every day. So I believe living life with energy and purpose, the best project that we'll ever work on is our own self.
There's got to be a fair amount of pressure too, being a fitness trainer, that you have almost a monkey on your back, that you always have to be on and ready and put together, because just like if a contractor has a leaky roof, people wonder, well, what are they doing with all their time? But you have to have a balance of a real life as a real person, not just Coach Kiersten 24/7. What are some of those things that you enjoy, maybe a little bit as a guilty pleasures? What are some of those things that you like to indulge in that make you feel happy, that make you feel good? Doesn't necessarily have to be a vice, but what's a guilty pleasure that would be maybe something that's not standard coach behavior?
Hands down, number 1, Diet Coke. It is my happy place. I truly don't think I could live without it. I love it. And I think I might be an addict, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's a happy habit, I guess. And is there a certain time of the day that you have to cut yourself off? Otherwise,
no, I drink it all day long. All day long. And everybody gives me a hard time. Oh my goodness. I've had members bring me Olipop. I've had them try to get me on flavored waters. I mean, everything you can think of. They worry about me. I love this meme that I read that talks about Generation X. Mm-hmm. And it said, I'm from a generation where we drank from the hose. It's not the Diet Coke that's going to take me out.
Yeah, it's gonna quicksand or strangers in a van, right?
Exactly. We were unsupervised for hours. It's not going to be the Diet Coke, okay? And we survived all that.
Yeah, we lit firecrackers and held them on our hands until the
We
last
did.
minute, right?
Yes.
So, speaking of past Kiersten and everything that you were growing up, what did the 10-year-old version of yourself aspire to be? What
Oh,
did you envision yourself doing?
I loved, and this is funny because anyone who knows me knows that I wear a uniform. We wear a coach uniform, and I coach every day. But I have a closet full of clothes, and I wanted to be a fashion designer. I
Hmm.
loved clothes. I loved dressing up in high school, and I was always put together. Vintage things or just anything. I had such an interest in that. And then I took home economics and learned real quick that I could not sew to save my life. So then I had to take a detour. I didn't really know what I wanted to do after that. I did a lot of admin work. I just found fitness though fairly young. I was 27, and then I've never looked back. That truly has been my calling. I loved it so much.
Did you take a class, or was it more of a personal fitness quest to be healthier? And then you realize this is something I can find myself doing?
Yes, at the time I was married and I didn't have to work. My husband was a pilot and I had two small children. But prior to that, I didn't really start exercising till I was 27. It never came naturally for me. I struggled with running my whole life. I wanted to run because I always thought it was so cool and so powerful to watch people run, but it did not come easy for me. And so I started taking kickboxing classes. I was going through a divorce and I was angry and I wanted to do something healthy to help me process. And I took these kickboxing classes and I didn't have the stamina to even last an hour. I would be in the back with the ladies on the back, but I just felt good doing it. And I had enough grit in my mind to know it was helping me. And it was more of the mental benefit of it rather than even the physical. Because I was always of the mindset too, as long as you're skinny, you don't have to be strong. That's how I believed. I stuck with it for a year, and then it took me a year to actually enjoy it. And after that, the gym where I was going closed down. And I found myself at Gold's Gym, and there was a sign on the wall for an audition. And I thought, wow, this would be a great part-time gig. I think I could do this. And I had my boom box, went in the backyard, put a routine together, and I auditioned and I got hired. And that's how it started.
So, what year was that?
2002.
So, did you have somebody taping you while you did this, or were you just sort of in your own head and imagining the class out there and working out your choreography from what you had seen in Billy Blanks or Les Mills or whatever that program was?
I did. I was in the backyard and I can remember my mother laughing at me and saying, Kiersey, you can't do that. You're not going to have the stamina to be able to do that. Because you had back in the day when I learned to do group fitness, you face the audience
Mhm.
and it takes a lot of mental game because you cue it backwards. I would be moving left, but cueing them right. And so you learn music, how to count an 8 count in music, and things are on the beat. And then that's how you know when to transition to the next movement pattern. There's a lot to it, and it did not come easy. And it took a lot of time. I took other people's classes. There was a core group of people at Gold's, some of which are still there today, and they taught me how to do it. And at that time, then the kickboxing, back in the day, you had to create your own routines. That was fading out, and Les Mills was coming in where it was just memorizing choreography. But then it became very specific. If you were going to coach step aerobics, you had to learn and be certified for just that curriculum. If you were going to do spin or weight training, or their rendition of kickboxing or martial arts was called body combat, there's a lot of time that went into each of those protocols. One certification wasn't going to cover it for all of them. They were specific. And so you can imagine that's a 1 hour routine of each of those different ones. And I can remember my sons being little watching me for hours in the living room practice. Then you learn how to perform. Because then while you're trying to learn the technical side of things, you add funny things to the music and your arm patterns. And there's elements of being a dancer. There's elements of being a presenter, using your voice. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to perfecting the craft. And it's never, I don't know that it's where a person can ever achieve perfection of it. And that's what I like about it. Because after all these years, there's always something to learn and improve.
What do you do on a regular basis to keep yourself sharp? Because, like you said, there's continuing education, there's new trends coming out, there's even new research on
Absolutely.
musculature and cardiovascular health and bone density and all of those aspects of one's personal and body health. What are some of the things that you do to keep that up?
The reason I ended up transitioning to Orange Theory is I sustained an injury while coaching a step class. And I actually ruptured two discs in my neck. And I had decided at that time, it took a while to recover from that, that I was never going to put a heavy barbell on my back. I think the repetition of taking that bar off and on, it just over time, I don't know if that contributed or what, but I learned about Orange Theory and I was so inspired and impressed with the depth of education in the Orange Theory brand itself, of how far they take research. We say we are backed by science, tracked by technology, and that is the truth. There's a design team, and Ellen Latham, also the co-founder of it, has an entire team devoted to research and how things over time, we've learned through time that the afterburn is not necessary. We used to say it's 36 hours. Well, research has shown it may be closer to 24, and every person's is different and all those things. We have modules, we have workshops, we have a team that stays in the know. And all of that is accessible to us online. And anytime I can attend a summit, it's been years since I've been to one, but I got to go to Miami. And wow, I tell you what, everything from motivational speakers to exercise physiologists to, there were doctors and cardiologists from MD Anderson. I mean, it's pretty in depth. And you leave a conference like that and you really feel pumped to share that knowledge with people. And that's what I try to do.
And when you take it in, you put it back out almost as quickly as possible. But you have to put that in through your own filter
Yes.
because you know your personality. And you don't want it just to sound like somebody just put a cassette in the back of your own little Teddy Ruxpin and you're just regurgitating these words. You are actually owning it. You believe it. You make it your own, because then otherwise it doesn't feel genuine. And you're not just a plug and play coach. You're somebody that somebody already trusts, or a whole room of people already trust, and it doesn't feel like it's just rinse and repeat. There's more of a personality in there.
Yes, I've always, one of the first owners that I ever worked for at Orange Theory used to say, you can't sell what you don't love. And I believe that. I've always believed in the Orange Theory brand. I believe in what I'm doing, so much so that I've never wanted to explore anything different. I could. There are all kinds of things out there. Now, there was a time, my last name is Schwinn, by the way, and there was a time a program was coming, at the time I lived in Waco, and a spin program was coming in, and I really just wanted to explore that, and I did. I taught for Cycle Bar for almost 3 years. It didn't replace Orange Theory, but it was a side hustle where I really learned a lot about music. And I loved it. It was, you talk about an emotional journey through music. Wow, that was wild. But yeah, nothing has ever replaced Orange Theory. I've always said the day I find something better or the day I lose my passion for coaching Orange Theory, that's the day I'll explore something else. And so far, I haven't.
If that something else did take shape, what would be maybe a personal quest or a journey that you haven't been able to achieve yet? Or maybe you did it 10 years ago and you want to beat a PR. What's
Yeah.
something that maybe is out there for you that you strive to, just like you're getting somebody, let's say, a couch to a 5K or just walk around the block without pain? What's something that you have on your horizon?
I have made it my goal to run a full marathon. I have done a few half. I've done an adventure race. I've done several 10Ks. But the reason for me that I want to complete a marathon, it used to be that I just wanted to say I did one. However much I walked, it didn't matter. How much I ran or jogged, it didn't matter. It just was the completing the 26.2 miles. But my son Mason has always been athletic, or a half iron at the age of 17. And he was coached by, in my opinion, the greatest endurance athlete of all time, James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy. And so he has shared with me some of his knowledge, and he's now doing ultra running. And now I'm finding that through my running, it's always been so difficult for me to master it. But my son would say, now he's become my coach. Coaches need coaches. And he'll say, Mom, the bigger the engine, the more work you do, the more miles you put in, just blow your own mind. And so now just completing the distance is not enough. By the end of the year, my goal is to do a full marathon and actually be able to hold around a 10 and a half minute mile pace. And we'll see how it goes. I'm training now. I'm up to about 12 miles. It's only not even halfway and it feels overwhelming, but putting myself into something that is hard for me helps me have empathy for people. For me, it's the marathon distance, but for other people, it's just showing up. For others, it's doing 1 mile. For others, it's going from walking to jogging. You see how it's on and on. For others, it's picking up a heavy weight they don't think they can lift. But when you can really meet someone halfway or experience how they feel, that makes you a better coach.
That's really interesting too, because it helps reinforce that trust that you've been there before, you know what they're going through, and empathy seems like it's a through line for you, that you respect and understand what a lot of people are going through. With your position as somebody who is motivating and pushing, there has to be a certain time when human emotion takes over. Maybe somebody
Absolutely.
claps back, or they start to ignore you, or they get salty. What do you do when the time comes to maybe you do some healthy conflict resolution? Let's say scenario one, you're telling them, okay, bump up your resistance and, or I should say your pace and your angle, and go now for 30 seconds, and somebody just pops off, something disrespectful or inappropriate. Let's work that scenario one. What happens when that takes place?
I will say that it's rare, and I have been blessed, especially at the Bar W location where I coach. The culture of people there are very coachable and they're receptive, but that has not always been the case. And it's kind of funny. It's almost like regional, like maybe further into the city. I don't know if people are more stressed or their lifestyle is just different, maybe more hurried. But I have had a few through the years that have been really disrespectful. And it used to just totally upset me because not everyone will like you. I understand that. Even me personally, I'm drawn to some personalities more than others. But there is a level of being civil and dignified and showing respect. And as a human, I never try to cross those lines in people, even if it's not my favorite personality type. And so when someone really kind of attacks me, the way I have done is just back off. It's happened to me on the floor. People do not want to listen. A gentleman years ago was a doctor, and he was hanging his head off of the bench. He was lifting heavy weights and hanging his head off the bench. And I crouched down beside him and I just said, may I make a suggestion? It would be best for you to support your neck and scoot down. And you would think being a doctor, he would know that. There's a lot of stress on the cervical spine. But he was very arrogant and haughty, and who was I to tell him? And I thought, well, it really bothered me. He didn't change. And I just walked away and continued coaching everyone else. I let it go because I felt like, well, what else can I do? People have free will, whether or not they want to listen. And then if it happens in a different type of setting in class, say someone's just personality is abrasive or they're not receptive to good energy, I've tried through my life and through my years of just getting older to understand I don't know what that person is going through that day. It's probably not about me at all. And so I take myself out of that equation and just let them be. I figure, you know what? They showed up to class and they are doing something good for themselves. Let that just be enough. And if they choose not to come back to my class for whatever reason, that's also their choice.
Kindness and empathy goes a long way, because when adrenaline is up, they might get home and realize, you know what? I was a total jerk to that really nice lady who was just trying to get me healthy. And you have that integrity and you show that you're willing to push, but not shove somebody. And I think that really speaks to you as a person who's building relationships, who is generating this kind friendship cycle, and people will tend to bring others along to take your classes, or when they see you around town, they don't just turn tail, they stop and wave because you've left that little bit of happiness with them and you remind them of their own power. And I think that's really important in what you do, and that refills your tank, that
It
you're not
does refill my tank.
a drill sergeant, you're a partner in their health.
I love that. I've never heard it quite that way, Troy. I do love that. We're
I'm in
partners.
marketing. I can turn a phrase, right?
We are partners. That is correct. I've always wanted people to feel like that around me, that ultimately it's each person's decision on what's right for them.
As you were gathering your flock, your class, your tribe, your people, what are some of those things that maybe that you experienced early on, either in your fitness journey or your profession, that you said, you know what, I don't want to do this? Maybe it's an emotional slight, it's a mistake that you noticed that is just nowhere near your approach.
Well, through years in the fitness industry and being a participant before being an instructor, I noticed many times coaches or fitness trainers, they look good. They live a fit lifestyle. They're athletic. But along with that can come arrogance, haughtiness, thinking a whole lot of oneself. And when you're a coach, it's not about me. It's just not. It's about love of people. I am there to help others in their fitness journey. Now, in the process, not to say that you cannot be concerned about your own fitness journey, but really when I coach, my mindset is not about me. It is about each individual in that class. So that's a big one for me. In Orange Theory, Ellen labels coaches as humble hustlers, and I love that. Humility is key. The other, and this is intertwined with why I became a fitness instructor in the first place. Yes, it was a fun part-time job, but for 1 year, as I mentioned earlier, I was going through a divorce. I was a young woman, broken with a child. I was dealing with anger and depression. And for 1 year, 3 times a week, I took that fitness class at Lakewood Fitness Club. And never one time did the instructor ask me my name or anything about me or acknowledge me as if I was anything. And I had decided right then and there, when I saw that audition sign at Gold's Gym that day, I thought, I am never going to let other people feel the way I feel. I will make it my mission to know every single person in my class, whether that's 5, 12, 36, I will know them. And I do. It's personal to me. Because if you don't know them all, you can't slight people. Maybe the name you don't know is someone who needs you the most. I've always thought that the people who are self-driven and they come out of just for whatever reason, they don't always need, they don't have the need that others do. Sometimes the shy people are the ones that may not say much, but they're the ones that are forgotten. And that's sad.
One of the sayings that I've heard before is the sweetest sound that somebody can hear is the sound of their own name.
Their own name. Yes.
And if somebody maybe is in a situation perhaps where they're surrounded by nothing but negativity, pain, or hurt, the name maybe is only spoken in anger or control. But if you shout somebody out and say, good job, Mackenzie, their emotion lifts. They get that little oxytocin bump and puts a smile on their face. Even if they don't show it, it reminds them. And those positive things will echo in their ear when they're doing something difficult or when they're on that last little stretch or doing their final push or whatever that is going to resonate with them, hopefully louder than perhaps other negative external voices or even the internal.
Yeah. And it's a motivator. I've always coached from a standpoint of I'm not someone's judge. I do not decide what's best for you, Troy. You decide what's best for Troy. I don't know what you feel like on the inside. Now I can see colors, I can see heart rate responses, I can see some things, but I don't know everything. And so my approach to coaching is, and that goes back to the name, is when I have built a relationship with someone and I sincerely care about them, people know whether you're sincere or not, or if it's phony. I know. I can feel energy from people. And so if I'm a sincere person and I really care about you and I know what your goal is or what you're trying to accomplish, and then I ask you or I say, hey, Troy, can you give more? Or do you have point one? Or let's do this. You do that because you want to and because you respect. I'm not just demanding it or judging you. You want to do that for yourself, not because I told you to.
Putting the onus and the responsibility back on the individual. So many people don't want to be held responsible for bad behavior, bad situations, or bad attitudes, but they take what they want from it and you give it with kindness. So if somebody's going to be aspiring to be a fitness coach or somebody in your role, What's something that is a common cliche, but you just say, you know what, this has no place in the fitness world? What are some of those things that you would consider in that
Oh,
category?
there's so many negative things, but one thing I have a big beef with, and I'm not saying that this isn't beneficial because it is, but a lot of times people will believe that the only way to build strength is by lifting as heavy as possible. Or I'll see coaches that are not discerning that this person doesn't have the movement pattern down. They don't understand the foundational movements of the body. You see it a lot in a hinge, for example, with a deadlift. Yes, a deadlift should be a heavy dumbbell, but if someone doesn't understand how to hinge first, picking up a 70-pound dumbbell is going to hurt their back. And then that will waylay them from accomplishing anything. So I truly believe you start with movement patterns. And then over time, once those are perfected, then you add weight. The other element to that is there are lots of ways to build strength. You can build strength through, say, for example, we were in an Orangetheory class and you decide on this 23-minute block, I'm going to hold X for my speed. And I do that. After I leave that treadmill block, I have built a stronger mindset. Then that in turn, when I leave there, that might seem like a small thing, but then when I doubt myself somewhere else in my life, it's a confidence boost. Maybe it's range of motion. I have a 60-year-old woman in my class who I'm trying to help her not fall and break her hip. Well, getting more range of motion in her squat will help her get off the couch better. That's a way to build strength besides just going and lifting the heaviest dumbbell I can find. You can tell.
I was talking with another guest on a previous episode, and he is also sort of a hobby runner, and he runs while he's on business trips. So his sentiment is, it's going to keep me away from hangovers and regrets. I'm going to get up and do a run in the morning before the show. And then maybe the night before, I'm not going to go get tore up because I have a 10 miler that I'm striving for. And just the idea that if you want to do something, say you're going to do it and then do it, you've proven to yourself that you can.
Exactly.
So even 6 months or a year later, and you're sitting there with the doldrums and the poor me's, you can go back to that. I ran a 10
Yes.
mile with a big hill in the middle, and I didn't fall over. I didn't pass out. I didn't hurt myself. So let's do it again. Even if you maybe have to recover or whatever that might be, you can do it and you have done it. So let's do it again. And you've proven to yourself, you don't have to borrow somebody else's motivation. You've done it.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I really feel too. It's important.
When you're talking about staying sharp and strong and motivated and studying and all that, are there certain books or other things that you engage with that keeps you on the right path?
I am not a huge reader. I never have been. I don't know why I'm not. Even at our studio, we have a book club, and I interact with all kinds of members that one is opening a bookstore and just love reading. When I do read, I like to study the Bible, and I've used that all my life to try to discern principles that are wholesome and integrous, and I trust the source. I feel like in many, many, if not every aspect of my life, I'm a better mom, a better person, a better worker because of things I've learned.
Oh, so wonderful. You have to have that foundation of why you're doing it, who you are. At the end of the day, when your head hits the pillow, you can be confident in all of that. You're still
That's right.
going to use your fire inside to motivate people that can't be put out. As you build and your relationships grow with members, there's also the need to network and connect with fellow professionals. Are you part of any kind of networking groups? Do you have associations that you frequent or go to expos and trade shows?
Well, one of the things that really appeals to me about Austin region is the magnitude of it. There's over 25 studios just in Austin. And you think about all the areas of the city, all of the different personalities, ages, and I'm constantly learning by just getting out in Austin itself, not even going any further than Austin. I mean, that's enough to keep me busy for weeks. And then at times when I am able to attend a workshop, right now I'm doing one called Pro Coach. It's Orangetheory's way of elevating the experience. So it's more than, going back to what we've talked about through this whole podcast, it's more than a fitness class. The way we speak, the performance element, the way we cue, can we color cues? Are there ways of presenting movement patterns? And like, for example, say you're doing a pull-up. Well, a way to coach with color would be to pretend you're in a swimming pool and you're lifting yourself out, but you don't have a ladder. It's all upper body. So it's a way to paint a picture for people who learn differently. And that's what this pro coach is about. And I'm doing it with these are all head coaches. I believe I'm the only one that's not a head coach at this time. But I have loved it. It's every Wednesday. It's been really a leveling up. Even as men, because you think, well, heck, you've been doing the same thing for 10 years. Is there room for advancement? Is there room for growth? Yes, there is. And I'm always learning. And it's been great.
When you're in a room of mixed folks, let's say it's not all fitness coaches, you're there with accountants and veterinarians, be it at a party or just kind of out and around. If somebody were just to ask you a brief description of what you do, how would you say it?
I would tell them, I coach for Orangetheory. We are a full body, 1 hour workout. We are heart rate based interval training tracked by technology, wherein everyone wears a performance tracker and you can see how your body is responding in real time. Our teaching format is backed by science. So we really believe in what we do. And part of my job is to help people and not only inspire them, but help them so that they don't undertrain or overtrain. And then I would say, and what are you currently doing for fitness? You want to come try a free class?
Does it go beyond walking to the fridge? One of the things that I really find interesting, and I've known this for a while because my wonderful wife takes your classes, but speaking of the science, there's even the psychology of the orange light.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Do you notice a difference? Is that like a psychosomatic thing? Does it do enough for somebody to bathe them in the orange light while they're trying to work out?
That is interesting. I've always thought of the orange light being just in keeping with the brand, but there probably is something to be said. I mean, I've heard it said orange is the happiest color. There is an energy in that studio, and I do wonder, does it come some from the lighting? That's an interesting thought. I haven't done a deep dive into that, but I'm curious.
A lot of psychologists have done work in hospitals and sometimes even correctional facilities where they paint a room a certain color to elicit a response. If somebody's depressed or quiet, it'll be bright orange. It'll just be this sunshine color. Or if they're super aggressive, it'll be a seafoam green or sometimes even a shade of pink. And your brain interprets those colors. And so orange is that perfect medium between, okay, it's not red, there's no fear, there's no panic, and it's close enough to the yellow to be cheerful. But I'd be interested to hear from the powers that be, the people over there at Orangetheory Corporate. Maybe Ellen can shed some light, pardon the pun, next time you get to be one of those type of questions and say, why is everything orange, bathed in orange light aside from branding? Is there research behind that?
I would like to know that too. And the word that comes to my mind when I think of orange or I see orange is vibrant. And that keeps with our slogan of having more life.
One of the things that I really like too about the gyms is that it crosses age and culture and outlook, but they're all working out together with a common goal of sweating it out, growing, getting stronger. They may not ever utter a word to somebody else, but they'll give a fist bump or a high five. And this community that's being built is really powerful. I understand that location specifically in what's technically Georgetown, Texas, right? At the Bar W?
Yes.
Is one of the higher rated in the nation for membership,
is.
As of airing of this podcast. And I think that speaks to people like you who take it seriously, but also give people a reason to want to come, to get up at dark 30 or at the end of a day, lace up those shoes and go in and get it done, other than just, well, I paid for this, I might as well do it. Go do it because you want it, right?
Yeah. It's been a real privilege to be part of such a special studio. I have coached at many, and it's unlike any other. I was there from the grand opening to date, but it is so interesting, such a melting pot of people, and yet so unified, such coachable people, willing to learn. It's really remarkable. I'm very thankful to be part of it.
And as the title of the podcast hints at, what is something that you wish somebody would have told you at the beginning of your fitness leader journey? What's something that you wish you would have known going in?
Just not to take things so personal. I do. I'm really guilty of that. I wouldn't say I've mastered it at this point, but I've come a long way. But because you are dealing with so many personality types, like we talked about earlier, say you don't have the connection with someone, I would sometimes just let it demoralize me or make me feel like I didn't do it right or I failed at whatever. No, that's not the case. You won't always connect with everyone. And then even just recently, there's a lady that comes to class. Her name is Mamie. And I can get to be a perfectionist sometimes. And she'll say, don't let trying to be perfect rob you of the good. I'm still reminded of those things. Nothing's perfect. We are human and we err. But it doesn't mean it wasn't still a great experience or class because everything wasn't perfect.
Love that. When I was a kid, my mom used to have this little poster up in the dining room. It was an owl hanging upside down on a tree branch, and the caption said, "Po Buddy's Nerfect." Just a little reminder.
It is true.
You don't always have to have your act together. Po Buddy's Nerfect.
No, we're not.
Well, speaking of sayings, is there something that's a quote that's on a coffee cup or a poster, something like that, that just resonates with you, that you always just run through your head?
Yes, and there are many. I really, truly love quotes. I love words. They inspire me daily. I read quotes and words every day to uplift me, and I resonate on them. But one of my very favorites is, if serving others is beneath you, then leadership is above you. That role of being someone always willing to help others, and it's not about me, it's about the other person. That humble mindset really, really resonates with me.
It's the humble hustle, right?
The humble hustle.
So in the next 25 years, what's out there? What's in the windshield down the road for you?
Well, the ladder goes coach, head coach, regional coach. And with that comes lots of responsibility. And I have served as head coach a couple of different times. In fact, my first role at Orangetheory Fitness was as a head coach. And then time and unforeseen occurrences have, happened. My mother was very ill for many years, and I helped be her caregiver. And so I stepped down from being a head coach, but I truly love the piece of coach development, running your own ship. That's when you're in charge of a studio, there's a lot of freedom in scheduling and events, social media, lots of layers to it. And I love that piece. That's very challenging to me, but also enjoyable. And so I see myself moving that direction. Ultimately, above that would be as someone who goes in, travels to different studios, takes an assessment, helps the head coaches and the whole studio find growth opportunities and way to improve. I would enjoy that too.
I think this is a big blue sky idea, maybe something that if somebody at Orangetheory has already been thinking of, but as I said earlier, my marketing mind never stops. It would be so amazing if, let's say, Orangetheory were to partner with Carnival Cruise Line and have an onboard gym.
Yeah.
That you, as somebody who is outgoing and friendly and really embodies the joie de vivre of being a coach, could be that floating motivator that
my
maybe
word.
keeps somebody from getting tore up at dinner because they have that class the next day, or they're there and they want to look good at the pool and then stay kind of tight and sharp so they can attract their next mate. By all means, let's go ahead and get into that class. I think that would be so cool to have something like that happen.
Absolutely. Like, who do you know, Troy? Sign me up. When can we sail? That's my question.
Yep. Just if we work it out and I can do the pitch and you can be a coach at the ready, we'll make that happen.
Hey, done deal.
Only crazy if it doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
So as we wrap things up, I just wanted to give you a few more minutes to say, is there something that maybe somebody were to get to know you aside from fitness? What's something fun or special or a bit of Kiersten trivia that people don't already know?
Oh my goodness. Maybe people don't know that I have a history in my family of my dad and my grandfather were big into antiques. And if you've ever seen American Pickers, that was
Mhm.
kind of their lifestyle. And I love finding whether it's furniture or old items, and I see potential. And whether it's painting them, I've refinished quite a few cabinets and painted a house or two. And I love doing those kinds of things, restoring things to be great like they once were. Those kind of things appeal to me. I love gardening too, but I'm not very good at it. But I'm not giving up. Just same thing with running. I got to figure out the how.
Tying that back over into fitness, if somebody who is maybe beyond what they would consider their prime, they can still get in there and put in work. I've seen some of those people. There's a certain gentleman who is in class, kind of an older guy with eyeglasses, and he's out there on that spin bike and he's keeping up with all the youngsters. His calorie counts and his points are top echelon. He's so
Absolutely.
determined. And I think you have a lot to do with that and his willingness to challenge and grow and not just sit on a chair in the back porch and watch the birds fly by.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think I know who you're talking about. I think his name, I call him G,
Mhm.
and I have known him for going on 15 years.
Oh, nice.
And we go way back to like three cities. He ended up in Austin. He'll come take my class. But
Mhm.
you talk about a relationship, and he's in his 70s.
I
That's
think
how many
he goes
years
by
he's been coming.
Sparky on his
Yes, that's
board.
Jerry. That is
Yeah.
Jerry.
And he's just
He's an
inspirational.
electrician. That's why he goes by
It's
Sparky.
worth
But think about, I mean, he burns 1,100 calories as a man his age, and he can outrow anyone. So I love that.
Well, you continue to motivate people, and through this session, I think you're going to continue to show people what it's like to do it the right way, do it for the right reasons, and care about people at the core of it all.
I love it. When I'm really overwhelmed and I have a lot going on, I just take it one thing at a time.
So if somebody just kind of stuck in a rut and they need something new to do or think about or whatever, they may have never thought about taking on a fitness coach role. It's kind of like when you were
Yeah.
27 and you said, you know what, I love doing this. I think I could make this my life going forward. There's going to be somebody who hears this and feels that nudge,
Yes.
that ready to go.
When I went into my training, it's not a very expensive thing. A person, like back in the day, I went to the Cooper Institute, which is in Dallas, but I think a person can become a certified coach by a nationally accredited organization probably within, oh, I'd say 6 months. And I would say it's probably like $600 to do so. And then in my case, Orange Theory has its own certification you would have to pass also. But it's not a huge monetary, you're not going to college for several years. Any person who really wanted to, it would be a feasible undertaking in a short amount of time.
Do you think that they would then be able to market themselves as an independent contractor and write off the cost of the
I
education?
do. In fact, one point I tried to do in-home training. It didn't work out for me because my passion never has been one-on-one. I prefer the group setting just because I like that element of it. But once you have that certification, like I think about my son. My son is an ultra runner and he has helped me tremendously in running specifically, but he doesn't have a nationally accredited certification. And he's good looking, young guy. I've always thought, where are your sugar mamas? Like you could have a posse Mason and teach these women how to run and go run with them. He runs 20 miles a day. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't have the credentials. And that's what it's going to take to market yourself. You know what I mean? Like in a reputable way. You need a credential.
And then speaking of marketing, what are some of the things maybe that would be reasonable? Would you have somebody's, let's say, an email list or a text chain? If you were going to be somebody that would say, I'm going to hang my own sign and be that fitness trainer, either small groups, 3 to 5 people, or at a community center, or as a one-to-one, in your eyes, if you were to market yourself as the solopreneur, what do you think would be the most viable marketing channel?
Instagram, Facebook, word of mouth, people that know you
Mhm.
and have had a wonderful experience with you will tell people, because it's all tight-knit communities. They all know one another. And a lot of times people who know one another, like for example, at Orangetheory in the 820 specifically, that's a whole group of women. They live in the same community. Their children all go to school together. It's very convenient. They drop them off at school. They come at that time. So that would be the way to do it.
Because you would have the glossy people who are the influencers, but people see through that.
They do.
It's just a regular person showing up in normal everyday gym clothes, not head to toe in the
Yeah.
latest brands, and perfectly coiffed, and their makeup is impeccable. Be a real person.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because those posts that I see from the influencers, and maybe this is a generational gap, but that doesn't inspire me. I don't see that as genuine. I feel like I don't connect with that. I connect with the person who may not have the perfect figure, but is out there doing, like sweating and doing, and has some insightful things to say to me. That would inspire me more.
Back in the day, Jack LaLanne would cruise around in his little onesie and inspire people to even just do calisthenics.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that Arnold physique, but people believed in him, they trusted him, they liked him,
Yes.
because much like Mr. Rogers was talking like a regular person to children to teach them, Jack LaLanne was engaging people, unlike a drill sergeant. Maybe that was more that mode back in the day of saying, I'm doing it, you can do it too, come along with me.
Hmm. Come with me.
I love that. All right. Well, we've had a great time together. I really appreciate it again. And I can't wait till the next time I get to be in your class, sweating it out and feeling extra motivated.
Well, I always enjoy having you and Krista. So we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
And if anybody's interested in, is there a way that they can follow you on social? Do you have Facebook, Instagram? Where can people find you?
Well, yes, they certainly can. My Instagram is mama_Schwinn, Schwinn like the bike.
Okay,
And I have a Facebook, Kiersten Schwinn. I'm on LinkedIn also.
good. I'll post some links over in the description for people to connect with you, maybe take a class or just get a little bit of goodness from your fountain. Thank you again for taking time to enlighten us with your experience and sharing some inspiration. This has been Troy Vera from the WIWHK podcast. Join us again, and we appreciate your time.
That was so wonderful. It was so fun.
Wish I would have known.